Ksoo, man. That's my brother for real, man. He been with me every step of the way.
The brotherhood that became a betrayal. Yo, listen up in these streets, especially out in Jacksonville, where the heat is always on loyalty, ain't just a word you toss around for clout. Nah, it's life or death for the longest time, the bond between YungeenAce and his day one Ksoo was harder than concrete. These two went from sharing the same block to sharing the same dreams, dodging the same bullets, splitting the same bread. But sometimes even when your circle feels unbreakable, pressure will test the cracks. What you thought was real love can flip into betrayal that cuts deeper than any op ever could. This wasn't some industry buddy-buddy built on fake smiles and staged photos. Tyrone Bullard, YungeenAce, and Hakim Robinson, better known as Ksoo, had that real hood bond. Two kids from the bottom who knew the struggle, felt the pain, and rode for each other when it counted. They came up in Jacksonville's most dangerous neighborhoods, where making it to 25 is a blessing and loyalty is the only real currency. But now, that same loyalty is under fire, and the world just saw it play out on IG Live.
Tell me about Ksoo, because I don't know too much about him other than the internet.
Ksoo, man. That's my brother for real, man. He been with me every step of the way. See, he one of the ones who been with me every step of the way. He was at the demo.
When Ace talked about Ksoo, you could hear the real love in his voice. This wasn't for show or the camera set, was genuine street brotherhood. Back in 2019, Ace even posted on social media saying, "I love KSO like my mama made him, I'll die for him. I promise, that's ride or die loyal type kind that makes people do crazy things when it really matters." And Ace proved it. Word on the street is Yungeen. Ace spent over $1 million on Ksoo's legal team. That's life-changing money, the kind that could set up his family for generations. But Ace wasn't thinking about his future, was thinking about his brother sitting in a cell fighting for his life. This wasn't a small sacrifice either. He literally went broke trying to keep Ksoo out of prison. In his 2025 track, I'm Sorry, Ace got real about the financial hit, trapping about his bank account running low while he had a baby on the way. That's when you know it's real love, when someone risked their own family's future for their friends' freedom. But here's where the story takes a twisted turn. Some real hood irony. The same music that celebrated their brotherhood ended up being used against Ksoo in court. Ace's 2080 et So Homicidia song meant to show love and respect was flipped by prosecutors into proof of motive. Picture this: your best friend drops a fire track shouting you out, talking about how you handle business in the streets, and then the feds use those same lyrics to paint you as a cold-blooded killer. That's exactly what happened, prosecutors argued. Ace's words showed premeditation and encouraged violence. Soon people started accusing Ace of dry snitching on his own homie, claiming his music gave the prosecutors the ammo they needed to lock Ksoo up for life. Imagine trying to honor your day one only to accidentally help the system tear him down. The trial was straight up hood drama. The prosecution brought dash cam footage, fingerprints on the murder weapon, and social media posts that looked like confessions. But the worst part? Watching the homies flip and start snitching.
You know, spoiler, both guys are found guilty. Ksoo and ATK Scotty. Obviously, the father took his plea, and there's a related case having to do with Ksoo's other brother, Abdul Jr., which is not being tried at this time. But pretty much they're going down.
Ksoo's own pops, Abdul Robinson Sr., took the stand and pointed his finger at his son, telling the court everything they needed to know to send his boy up the river. That's some cold-blooded family betrayal right there, when your own blood becomes the star witness for the prosecution in the hood. That's the ultimate violation. Then you had Dominique Butta Barner, who was supposed to be solid, flipping like a pancake and giving up all the details. This cat was telling the court everything from the planning stages to the getaway route, painting a picture so detailed it might as well have been a documentary. He broke down the whole operation like he was. Ksoo's own pops, Abdul Robinson Sr., took the stand and pointed.
The driver, you could imagine, he's like, "Well, I ain't shoot nobody, man. That shot me. So I'm telling you." See?
You know where they went.
The courtroom felt like a family reunion gone wrong. Of everybody who was supposed to stay solid was pointing fingers and telling on each other. Ace had to sit there and watch, knowing he dropped a huge bag on lawyers who couldn't stop what was coming. All that money, all that loyalty, all that love, and still, it wasn't enough to save his homie from the system. When the jury came back after just 3.5 hours with a guilty verdict, you could see the shock on everyone's face. Ksoo was only 25, staring down a life sentence. His whole future was gone before it even began.
Has this jury reached a verdict?
member to the family.
But this is where things got messy. Instead of owning up to his actions, Ksoo started pointing fingers posting online about facing all-white juries and judges like that was the reason he got convicted. He acted like the system was stacked against him, but left out the fact that his own people, his dad, his homeboys, his crew were the ones who testified against him. That's when the real feelings started spilling out. Word spread that Ksoo felt abandoned by the people who were supposed to have his back. Some folks started asking if Ace really did enough. Sure, he dropped $1 million, but was that all a true friend should do? Should he have made more noise, applied more pressure, done more than just write checks? Sitting in that cell, Ksoo was probably thinking about who really rode for him and who just threw money at the problem. $1 million sounds hugabutt. When you're staring at life in prison, you start wondering if your so-called brother could have done more.
Damn. See, that right there is like, I blew it. I blew it. I'm convicted of murder. Fucking blew it. That head shake right there is like, yo, I don't know how old he's. I think he might be like 25. My life is done.
The whole hood was watching. Social media was buzzing. Everybody had an opinion about whether Ace was as loyal as he claimed. The whispers turned into conversations, and those conversations turned into arguments that were about to blow up into something that would shock the entire hip-hop world. The stage was set for a moment that would expose every crack in their brotherhood, a test of whether years of loyalty could survive the hardest question of all when your homie is drowning. Is throwing money enough, or do you jump in the water with him? In Jacksonville, your reputation isn't built on Instagram followers or streaming numbers. Out here, your name carries weight based on how you move when the bullets fly and how you handle yourself when someone disrespects you. Hakeem Robinson didn't become Ksoo by accident. That name was earned. At first, it was about protecting family honor, but over time, it turned into stacking bodies like a serial killer. Each time he pulled the trigger, it wasn't just another casualty, it was another step deeper into a life where violence became an addiction and murder turned into muscle memory. Ksoo's shift from troubled kid to cold-blooded shooter didn't happen overnight. But once that switch flipped, there was no going back. The streets grabbed hold of him early, and by the time he was old enough to legally drink, he was already linked to more bodies than some dudes catching a lifetime. And this wasn't random violence. Every move was calculated. Every shot fired was part of a bigger plan, Jacksonville's deadliest chess game, and the spark that lit this fire was deeply personal. On January 16, 2019, Ksoo's stepbrother Willie Boss Goon Addison was gunned down outside a nightclub. Multiple shots to the back and torso in what looked like a straight-up execution. This wasn't just another street casualty. His family, and in these neighborhoods, family blood demands. Family blood. Boss Goon wasn't just some random dutta. Was Ksoo's. People touching family is basically declaring war on someone's whole bloodline. The hood was watching, waiting to see how Ksoo would respond, and trust didn't disappoint. Just weeks later, the body count started rising. On February 23, 2019, 16-year-old Adrien by Gaynor Jr. was killed at the Hilltop Village Apartments. This wasn't some stray bullet or wrong place, wrong time situation, prosecutors say. Ksoo and his shooter pulled up with murder on their minds. The way Bai was taken out was cold-blooded. It sent a message to the whole city about what happens when you cross the wrong family. When Bai spotted the shooters and tried to run, Ksoo allegedly chased him through the complex, turning what could have been a quick hit into a hunting expedition. Witnesses said they were diving for cover just to survive.
How did y'all feel when Ksoo got charged for the murder of you?
Free, bro. The one with jail on nobody.
Jail on nobody.
Shit, so, cause we know how the Jacksonville system lives, bro. Like they'll you over, Ksoo to caught 12 years for a gun.
The young cat took multiple shots to the back and legs as he tried to escape, but when he stumbled and fell near a stairwell when it got real cold-blooded, prosecutors say Ksoo walked right up to the wounded teenager and delivered the finishing shots at point-blank range, making sure there was no coming back from that. They left 45 shell casings scattered across the complex. That's a lot of rounds for one teenage target, but in Jacksonville's gang war, overkill sends a louder message than a clean headshot, and the streets heard that message loud and clear. Ksoo wasn't playing when it came to protecting his family's honor. But he was just getting started. The murder that would eventually lock him away for life went down on January 15th, 2020. Charles Lil Book McCormick Jr. was gunned down at the Dames Point Plaza shopping center. This hit was different. It was caught on camera, and those videos would become the smoking gun that sealed Ksoo's fate, according to testimony from Dominique Butter Barner, who was driving that day they had been sitting on McCormack's location for hours, waiting for the perfect time to catch him slipping. That's not some sloppy heat-of-the-moment street shooting. That's patient, calculated hunting like a military operation.
Did you all have to wait a long time for Charles McCormick to come out of his apartment that morning?
Yes, sir.
You remember about how long?
How long they waited?
Waiting? Was it hours?
It was hours.
Damn, they wanted that dead that bad?
They tracked McCormick from his apartment to a Tempe Gensyth crazy part, being he was probably out there trying to get a legit job while these dudes were plotting to erase him from the map. The hunting party was Ksoo TK Scotty and their driver, Butter, all rolling with enough firepower to start a small war. When things finally went down, it looked like a horror movie playing out in broad daylight. McCormick was just shopping, carrying bags, minding his business when he spotted armed men moving into position. The moment he realized what was about to happen, he dropped everything and ran for his life across the parking lot. What happened next was caught on dashcam footage. That would haunt the courtroom and probably give the jurors nightmares. Ksoo and ATK Scotty jumped out of their ride with semi-automatic weapons, including an AR-style rifle, and started chasing him through the plaza like they were hunting game.
What happened after Hakeem jumped out of the Nissan?
Shot at him.
Shot at who?
McCormick.
Did McCormick stay there?
No.
What'd he do?
Ran.
What did Hakeem Robinson do?
Chased him.
And then did what?
Killed him.
The sound of gunfire echoing through that shopping plaza had regular people diving behind cars and running for cover. McCormick took multiple hits as he tried to make it to safety near a nail salon butt. The bullets caught up with him and he went down face first on the asphalt. For guys who thought they were so thorough, the evidence they left behind was sloppy. Ksoo's fingerprints were found on the murder weapon. There was video of the whole chase and social media posts that looked like straight-up confessions. He might as well have left his government ID at the scene, but what really sealed his fate was his own mouth after BBY's murder. Ksoo couldn't resist bragging online posting pictures with Baba captions next to the victim's photo. It was basically a confession and a celebration rolled into one gift wrapped for the prosecutors.
Yeah, baby! That's what baby did!
The pattern wasn't hard to spot once you laid it all out. Ksoo was also tied to the January 2019 murder of Damon Rothermamol just 2 weeks after his stepbrother was killed. This wasn't random violence or heat-of-the-moment shootings. This was calculated retaliation, showing Ksoo was moving like a one-man army in Jacksonville's gang war by the time the feds caught up with him in September 2020. Ksoo had been linked to enough bodies to fill a small cemetery. The evidence was so stacked that prosecutors felt confident going for first-degree murder charges, which in Florida means life in prison with no chance of parole. And even then, when the law finally had him cornered, Ksoo was still playing the game like he couldn't be touched.
You know what that is? You don't know what that is? Debbie, ring a bell to you?
I want to speak with my lawyer.
Want to speak with your lawyer? Okay, all right.
That's the response of someone who's been coached. Well, don't say nothing to the police, ask for your lawyer, and keep your mouth shut. But by then, it was too late. His crimes were tied to a pattern of retaliatory killings that have been glorified in diss tracks and social media posts, creating a paper trail that connected art to real-life murder in ways that would make prosecutors smile and defense attorneys cry. The streets were watching every move, every post, every lyric, and they were keeping score. Ksoo's alleged body count became part of his street reputation. But what built his legend in the hood would ultimately become the evidence that destroyed his freedom. Each murder was connected to the larger ATKKTA war, making him not just a killer, but a soldier in Jacksonville's deadliest conflict when music became murder, the ATK versus KTA war. Yo, check it, the murders that sent Ksoo up the river for life weren't just some random street beef that got out of hand, nah fam. These were strategic strikes in what might be the bloodiest gang war hip-hop has ever witnessed. The ATK versus KTA conflict has been straight-up genocide in Jacksonville, claiming over 20 lives since 2017 and turning what used to be neighborhoods into hunting grounds where young cats get smoked for wearing the wrong colors or claiming the wrong block. This wasn't your typical rap beef where dudes just trade bars and talk on social media. This was that real smoke, the kind where diss tracks become death threats and music videos turn into hit lists. The war between AC's top killers and Kill Them all created a culture where getting your name mentioned in a song could literally be a death sentence, and dropping a fire track meant you might need to start watching your back 24/7. The whole nightmare started back in May 2017 when 8-year-old Zion Malik Brown got his life taken in the most disrespectful way possible. 19-year-old DeAndre Trey Shorty Thomas from Orange Park rolled up to this young cat's family home and literally violated every rule of street engagement. Homie smashed through the sliding glass door and opened fire on multiple family members, including Zion's 16-year-old sister and 9-year-old cousin. There was crossing lines that even the greatest street cats don't cross. You don't bring that type of heat to someone's family home, especially with babies and women present. But this violation set the tone for everything that followed. Once you break those unwritten rules of engagement, all bets are off and anything becomes fair game. The real escalation came exactly 1 year later though, and this is where the story gets personal for YungeenAce. June 5th, 2018, a date that's probably burned into Ace's memory forever. That's when rival shooters turned his brother's birthday celebration into a massacre that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Picture this: you're out celebrating, family feeling good, thinking you're safe because you're just eating dinner and having a good time, then bullets start flying and everything you love gets snatched away in about 30 seconds. Ace caught 8 shots but somehow survived, while his brother Trayvon, 23, bulleted, and 2 close friends got smoked right next to him.
Get in the car, that's feel like probably like 25 seconds, 30 seconds. Pull up to a light. I'm finna call my girlfriend because we arguing about the car because me and my big brother car.
Why y'all arguing about the car?
Because they want to go see some girls. But I'm calling my girlfriend because like, I'm finna get in the car with my girlfriend. Feel me? Because my girlfriend was eating right across the street from me. Feel me? So I'm calling them, I'm about to call them. Soon as I pull my phone out, I get shot in my hand. See my whole hand, see all this is off. It grew back, you know what I'm saying? See my whole hand, so when they start shooting, I seen it. But like, it just got the blue on.
That kind of trauma changes you forever. You could hear it in Ace's voice when he talked about that night. Surviving that massacre gave him serious PTSD, making him paranoid about loud noises and sudden movements. That's when you know things got real, when a guy who once ran the streets starts jumping at car backfires and refuses to sit with his back to a door.
I got shot 8 times, I'm still here, and he got shot 5 times. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, and it's just like why is this happening? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just like it hit me every day. I ain't gonna lie, even the day I don't think about it. So I thought about it this morning before I even came in.
The mental scars from that shooting lit a fire for revenge that would fuel years of violence. Ace surviving didn't just make him a legend in the streets, it put a target on his back. Now he had to constantly prove he wasn't scared, and he felt a responsibility to get payback for his family. By 2019, the cycle of retaliation went into overdrive. Murders started piling up like scenes from a horror movie. In January, Willie Boscoon Addison was killed, since he was Ksoo's stepbrother, his death was seen as a direct challenge that by street rules couldn't be ignored. Then in February, Bibby was gunned down, Theo's little cousin, just 16 years old, a kid who should have been worrying about school, not dodging bullets from grown men with automatic weapons. When Theo talked about that day, you could hear how losing Bibby shattered something inside him.
I'm like, bro, it's hot outside, like the police, you know, I ain't even thinking about no, like I ain't even talking, like, bro, the police out there, bro, like, don't walk nowhere, bro. Sit here with me until it's time for you to go wherever you need to go, you know what I'm saying? Wait till the sun go down or something.
That right there shows how deep things had gotten. The older guys were trying to protect the younger generation, but the streets had already claimed too many lives for anyone to truly feel safe. This wasn't grown men settling grown men's problems. It was a war eating up kids and turning teenagers into killers or corpses. What made this war different from any other beef in hip-hop history was how it mixed real street violence with music. When YungeenAce dropped Who I Smoke in 2021, it wasn't just a diss track, it was basically a murder anthem. The song sampled Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles, but turned it into a celebration of death with lyrics like, "We smoking Bibby" and "We smoking Tuck," openly mocking murdered teenagers. The video made things even worse. ATK members were dancing in cemeteries and disrespecting the dead, creating images so extreme they sparked outrage around the world, but the track blew up anyway, pulling millions of views and even going gold. It proved controversy sells even when it's built on real badas and real grief. Julio Fulio's response was just as extreme in his track What I See You. He filmed in a Jacksonville cemetery, literally dancing on the graves of ATK's fallen members. Seeing grown men stepping on tombstones while rapping about murder was so shocking it made international news. At that point, these songs weren't just music anymore, they were psychological warfare meant to hurt grieving families as much as possible. Imagine losing your child to gun violence, then having to watch the killer dance on their grave in a viral music video. Still, despite all the disrespect going back and forth, Ace tried to show some maturity when he had the chance to speak on the bigger picture.
I mean, some people feel like you were behind that.
I'm sure, but people feel like I'm behind a lot, but I'm not. I'm not behind. I'm working. I'm grinding every day. I'm grinding. I got a family. I'm working. I'm grinding. I'm trying to be big. I'm trying to be big.
The war didn't stay in Jacksonville. It spread far beyond the city in 2019. Ace got shot again in Waycross, Georgia, proving this beef had reached other states. His friend Jeremy Rao Brookins was killed in that hotel parking lot ambush, showing that distance couldn't protect anyone from this kind of danger. Police believe this feud is linked to more than 50 murders, making it one of the deadliest gang wars in modern U.S. history. Federal agents have been hinting at RICO charges especially. After high-profile events that drew national attention, the biggest turning point came on June 23, 2024, when Julio Fulio was killed in Tampashit over 30 times on his birthday. That was dark irony, since Ace's own brother had been killed on his birthday years earlier. On the streets, people saw it as the ultimate payback birthday for birthday life for life. Several ASHA members were arrested for Fulio's murder, but Ace stayed clean on paper still. The sheriff warned they were keeping a close eye on him, saying, "Ace can't move around without us knowing." That was basically a public notice that he's under federal watch. This cycle turned music success into something tied directly to real-life violence, making it nearly impossible for artists to leave the streets even after they've made it big.